The author is Charles R. Swindoll. The book is entitled Start Where You Are. Chapter 7. The Benefits of Taking Time. We seldom think of the lessons to be learned or the benefits connected to prolonged recovery. We like quick turnarounds, instant changes from sickness to health. We much prefer accounts of miracles to long, non-sensational stories of slow recoveries. In fact, we tend to grow impatient with those who can't seem to take our advice and, quote, snap out of it, end quote, or, quote, get well soon, end quote, like the greeting card urges, pushes them to do. But like it or not, more often than not, the wise words of Hippocrates are true. Healing, quote, healing is a matter of time, end quote. The one who needs time to heal, perhaps months or even years, often becomes the recipient of resentment. Instead of being affirmed and encouraged to press on through the pain, allowing sufficient time to get better, the sufferer encounters resentment and impatience. Uninvited advice, dripping with misunderstanding and disrespect, begins to flow. This is especially true of those who must climb out of a background of emotional trauma. It took years for the damage to be done, yet many expect overnight recovery. For some, there is the added stigma of attempted suicide or time spent in a psychiatric ward or mental hospital. Others must live with a past strewn with bitter experience, prison, divorce, rape, child abuse, ego-shattering blows to their self-esteem. No one on the face of the earth would more love to be healed and return to the mainstream of life than these strugglers. But for them, the therapy remains a prolonged and painful process, not an instant miracle. My plea is that we love and respect these sufferers rather than resent them. I realize some may go to the extreme, play on our sympathy, and take advantage of our compassion. But more often than not, those who are recovering want nothing more than to be well, whole, responsible, functioning adults who carry their share of the load. Just as it is possible to hurry the very young through childhood, refusing to give them the benefit of growing up slowly and securely, so it is possible to hurry the deeply wounded through recovery, robbing them of the benefits of healing slowly and permanently. While I have spent most of my time speaking to those who minister to the hurting, I have not said much to the sufferer personally. Let me speak to you for a moment. A major benefit of taking time to heal occurs within you. Almost imperceptibly, you become a person with keener sensitivity, a broader base of understanding, and a longer fuse. Patience is a byproduct of pain. So is tolerance of others and obedience to God. For lack of a better title, let's call the whole package, quote, wisdom, end quote. For too many years in your life, you have operated strictly on the basis of knowledge, human absorption of facts and natural reaction to others. But affliction has now entered your life, and even though you would much prefer to have it over with, it has not ended. Difficult though it may be for you to believe, the pain you are forced to endure is reshaping and remaking you deep within. As the psalmist once wrote, "Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I keep thy word. It is good for me that I was afflicted, that I may learn thy statutes. I know, O Lord, that thy judgments are righteous, and that in faithfulness thou hast afflicted me." Psalm chapter 119, verses 67, 71, and 75. A glance back over those words is worthwhile. The psalmist admits that prolonged affliction gave him a much greater desire to obey. Verse 67. A much more teachable spirit. Verse 71. And a much less arrogant attitude. Verse 75. Human knowledge comes naturally, is enhanced by schooling, and enlarged by travel. But with such knowledge, there often comes carnal pride, a sense of self-sufficiency, and tough independence. This kind of knowledge can prompt us to become increasingly disinterested in the spiritual dimension of life. As our reservoir of horizontal knowledge grows, our skin gets thicker, and often our inner being, called, quote, the heart, end quote, in Scripture, becomes calloused. So God opens the door to pain. Some physical ailment or emotional collapse or period of uncertainty levels us to mere mortality. Or a domestic conflict explodes and we are reduced to a cut above zero. The affliction, whatever it may be, paralyzes our productivity, and we are cast adrift in a sea of private turmoil and possibly public embarrassment. To make matters worse, we are convinced we'll never recover. At just such a dead-end street, divine wisdom waits to be embraced. She brings with her a beautiful blend of insight, the kind we never had with all our, quote, knowledge, end quote, genuine humility, a perception of others, and an incredible sensitivity toward God. Without this prolonged period of recovery, such God-given wisdom may very well pass you by. During the time it takes you to heal, wisdom replaces knowledge. The vertical dimension comes into clearer focus. It's been my observation of myself and others that a lengthy recovery time rivets into our heads the importance of bringing our lives back from the fringes of the extreme. In other words, lengthy recoveries teach us the value of balance. I especially have in mind either the extreme of too much work, where our world is too structured, too product-oriented, too intense and responsible to the point of neurosis, or too little work, where irresponsibility, inactivity, and indifference have marked our paths. During the recovery stage, it is amazing how God enables us to see the foolish extremes of our former lives. A man recovering from a stress-induced emotional breakdown has the rare opportunity to take an airplane view of his life. When did he start pushing himself so ruthlessly? Why did he cancel vacations? Work all those weekends? How did he get stuck in that hamster wheel anyway? A woman facing financial ruin due to mounting credit card debt on top of college loans, a huge mortgage, and car payments might get into the same airplane to view her own life. When did she start placing so much value in things? Why hadn't she disciplined herself to put some money away? How did she get into the habit of unrestrained spending? As a result of such tendencies toward extremes, many people break, and the inner destruction leaves them in shambles. It takes time to reorder and balance out our personal lives.